Hey guys, so it is Saturday night at the studio. I'm the only person here, as you can see, and I am busy working on the urban winter Nurgle terrain. It's a pretty interesting, the stuff we've got going on. I keep looking at the little screen instead of actually looking at the camera. But we're going to go down here and we're going to take a look at what I've been cracking at tonight. So, look at this huge thing. This thing is kind of awesome. Alright, so this is one of the two huge buildings that I'm building for the client. This is 3 stories. To give you an idea of scale, here is a Chaos Space Marine. That's big. I'm convinced that you could fit tanks on top of these things. You can fit like 2 defilers up there. And that gives you an idea how much space you have to put dudes on up top here. Now, the really cool part is I wanted to keep the piece as intact as possible for the client, because he requested that we try to keep the buildings more intact than we normally do with ruined buildings. Which I did my best with the other ones as well. Of course, with those, you have to have some way to keep them playable is the big issue. So, as you can see, you fit your hand completely in each floor. Relatively easy. This one's a little bit of a tight fit up top here, but it's still pretty easy to get your hands in there. And down here you have little dead guardsman. He's had his limbs ripped. And here's the cool part. Let's see what's actually ripped his limbs apart. Oh, look at that. Look at that. A grotesque, dead, alien, zombie, Nurgle demon thing with no head. That's actually where all the destruction comes from, too. The idea is that this thing came charging through here, destroying all that in its wake. And just as it got here, like a tank or a guy with a really heavy-duty plasma cannon or something just massively destructive just fired point blank right here in its face. It blasted up through here and blew a hole straight through the entire building. It's what caused the collapse on this side. It just completely decimated the structure. So you can see right there all the way through to where the critter is. And yeah, that's the narrative. You've also got this little dude up top who he's just maybe he's taking a break, but maybe he's covered in blood and gore. We'll find out when we get to the painting stage. So I'm going to set this bad boy over here. You can see all these are all the other buildings that we've been working on. I've done those in previous updates. So here you can see we've got some objective markers for the urban Nurgle terrain. The anime that this is based off of is called Blue Gender, if you haven't seen our updates before of talking about that. In Blue Gender, the main character goes into a cryogenic suspension capsule because he's got a rare disease. And the idea is that, go into cryogenic suspension, wake up when there's a cure. Instead, he wakes up in this holy, hell of, futuristic world taken over by insect monsters. So that's what I kind of went for with these. This is very similar, as you can see the detail on these. These have little plastic, plaster casts on them to make them kind of look like hibernation capsules. So the idea is that, especially in this situation, possibly these are emergency protection capsules that the people went into when the infestation broke out, and the armies can fight over who gets to them first. This is also a simple set of supplies, possibly anti-Nurgle plague supplies, that can be used as the relic. And those are going to be painted up and flocked along with the rest of the project, which is all going to be snow-based with lots of nasty Nurgly pus and blood pointing out in areas. Hey guys, this is the last update of the night. It'll all go together. I've just been recording updates as I go along working on things. I've been listening to book 2 of John Carter of Mars. It's kind of an interesting series. I may have to check the movie out after I finish the series. But anyway, let's get to this stuff that I just finished up. I just did. Let me turn that off first. Okay, guys. So here's the final building for the urban winter terrain for Nurgle. As you can see, this stuff is very. You can see this sort of like nasty, tendrily stuff that's going to be growing out of the ground. That's going to look really cool when it's painted up. I only did that effect really on this piece really heavily. I did it on the others, but I thought the idea with so much open ground, you still want it to be playable, but you want it to look interesting. So this is one of the more heavily infested buildings. It's really starting to rot. You can see that it's got all the different little spots on it. You can't really see the hot glue that well unless I get really close. But I went through and shaped all the hot glue very carefully to create this sort of tendrily effect throughout the entire terrain piece. Let me put this down and kind of do more of a close-up, bang my elbow on it, of course. So you even got this little thing in here, which is sort of like, I used the stick as a brace for it, but I used the hot glue to create sort of a pussy, nasty area where it's just growing. You've got all that stuff right there. So all that remains now for this set is to do the basing on it, which is going to be somewhat targeted with some areas where ice is going to be at, and there's going to be debris everywhere. I still do have to do the piping on these two, so I'll do that tomorrow. And then after that, we'll blacken it and paint it up. So that's your studio update for the day, guys. Stay tuned for more content, and we're going to get this set up before the weekend's done. One other thing to keep in mind, oh, you can also see I got a haircut. Yeah, nice. And my hair is actually getting long enough to put it all back in a ponytail a little bit. It's still coming loose a bit, but anyway. I will be playing a battle report. Our first battle report for Titan Terrain Studio on Monday with J-Ro against his Tyranids. I'm going to be using Mason's Chaos Space Marines, Nurgle Marines, because, you know, this seems kind of fitting to play on that particular terrain set. So stay tuned for that. It's probably not going to be up for a few days because I'm going to want to edit it and make sure it's really nice and high quality and all sorts of cool stuff.